I think that people realize that we need a type of internal technology to help us deal with the whole situation that we are confronting today, these rapid changes and the uncertainty of the future. No one really knows what's going to happen. Right? The geopolitical situation also. So all these events, people are realizing that they will need some type of internal technology that will help them cope with that, right? When I began with this type of work, over more than 20 years ago, in fact, people were thinking that I was so very esoterical, Mindfulness, first, it's not a cure for everything. That should be very, very clear from the beginning. And second, more than anything important, is that it is something that you need to practice. It's like learning to play piano. You can read about it. You can read all the theories about, piano playing or whatever, and you can be a super theoretician about how to play piano. But if you never play the piano, if you don't practice playing the piano, you will never be a player. And it's the same here, right? Most people think of mindfulness as relaxing techniques, right? But they don't practice. Most people don't really incorporate this type of technology in their daily life, right? So it stays really just a promise of something, right? Because you never really learn to do it and to practice, right? So that is the main problem that I see. The inability of people to really get into practice and see how this really helping you. You have the situation where people take a view or that you need this kind of mystical, state, to be calm or whatever. But actually, the evidence from neuroscience don't seem to suggest that that's what the brain seeks. The brain is not seeking quietness. The brain is seeking ways to be able to survive, to help you survive, And this is where this idea of the brain as a prediction machine, which is very similar to what artificial intelligence do, right? Which is predicting things, right? By definition, you cannot be quiet and calm. Your mind is always anticipating things, right? Predicting things. So what you need to do then is a mindfulness that is congruent with the way the brain works. And that will be a mindfulness that helps you in your activities in life, so that you really go through life without regrets. Let's say it that way. The brain generating predictions, anticipating things, and the whole idea is that the prediction has to be precise. If they are not, because that is the case, often also, then you have what is called prediction errors, right? And this, you want to call it divergence between your predictions and your prediction errors. It what really creates stress, dissatisfaction, unhappiness, and all that. So that gives you a hint. What is that you need to do? Your mindfulness needs to be precise. We have been working more than 20 years on this. And the third aspect also, and the final aspect is, given that you have done all this, you know how to regulate your perception models, your betas. Now you know how to more or less tackle situations which are difficult. You have be able to adapt your models in economic models. You have expand your trust equation to include people from different cultures. Then the question is adapting. How then you adapt all these things to your reality, or your needs, and what the environment is offering. And then you start to see, or to observe, or to have a different view of the environment, not as a plain place or a field where there is only challenges of danger, but as a field of affordances, possibilities, that you have now, you are equipped to find them and then, thrive on that. You're thriving. You are reaching happiness in this. One very important model is the economic beliefs, what we call economic beliefs. People tend to have a very fixed ideas of what is that economically they need to survive, right? You need to have job security. You need to have a promotion every year. You need to have a higher salary. All these things, And this seems to be a way of approaching economic beliefs from the state of scarcity. Because we are in competition, there is not much, I have to be the first. We believe that this approach tends to limit your responses. On the other hand, what we're trying to say to people is trying to take a mindful view of economic situations or economic belief. And that is, think about, instead of extracting value, what about really concentrating on creating values? MBSAT has been evolving, right? He have been trying to adapt it to the reality, right? It's becoming the main question that MBSAT seeks to help. And that's it. Given that AI is accelerating so fast, right? It's not just, a Google thing where you find things and answer to questions. It's answering. In fact, it's anticipating things, because this is what it is. The logic of AI and these large language models, this is what they do. They anticipated the next war. They hear something, or you're writing something, and they anticipate what could be the question, right? So you see, these language models, they work on prediction. And we are arguing in MBSAT that our brain do the same. They anticipate and predict things, right? So what is the critical question that people will have in the future? Knowing when to use your mind, your brain, and knowing when to use the artificial mind. You have two prediction models running your life. You have the biological, right, which is limited in terms of data set or data elements, which is your experience, right? You cannot have infinite experience. So that's a limitation. The second limitation is you get tired. And when you get tired, obviously, all the precision that you require to make decisions, it get compromised, right? So you have that. But on the other hand, you have here artificial intelligence, which is already in our life. The iPhone, the watch, and all these things are already, artificial intelligence, right? So that never get tired. Has a huge data set. And it's been trained all the time by everyone in the whole world, Now, your question is for you strategically when to use this and when to use the other one. And this is something that we also training people to make this distinction, when to use your mind, when to use the artificial intelligence, and when to rest, because otherwise you will lose your agency. I mean, what is the definition of human being? Freedom and agency, right? But if the machine and the telephone and the iPhone or whatever and the watch is telling you what to do, you don't have no agency. And agency and freedom, right, is the source of happiness.